It's a weekend of giving at 605 Running Company. We're keeping the knees covered for South Dakota high school football, and a clothing and sneaker store rebrands itself as it reopens. This is Inside the Newsroom. I'm your host, Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we give you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area. And best of all, Scott's rolling his eyes. He's our guest today. But best of all, we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about these trending stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. Do you have that memorized by now, Scott?
What was I rolling my eyes at?
Yeah, I don't know. You were just, I saw you in my peripheral just doing something.
I was doing this. I was getting ready for
you were getting hyped? Oh, well, here we go. I liked it. Okay, well, thank you. I thought you were rolling your eyes.
No, never.
Well, I don't know why you would roll your eyes. You're so supportive. See, Scott is the biggest supporter of Inside the Newsroom. That's why he's on almost every day now.
Let's do it.
Well, we always
trying to get our own show.
I know, exactly. And we always have something to talk about when it's weather related. I went out. Okay, let's talk about weekends and let's make this about me. So I went out this weekend to the Minnesota State Fair. Had a great time. Yes, it was amazing. And got lots of fun fair food. The pickle pizza was my favorite.
Pickled pizza. What all is on it?
Yeah, so it's like there's no tomato sauce on it. It's almost like a white sauce. And then it's just a bunch of cheese.
You lost me there.
No. Hear me out. And then it's a bunch of cheese and then the bread. And then they put pickle slices on it. It tastes so good. It's like if you put cheese bread and fried pickles into one.
Okay.
See, okay, I got you back there.
Yeah, got me back on that.
Because you don't really taste the white sauce if you don't like white sauce. On our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. Do you have that memorized by now, Scott?
What was I rolling my eyes at?
Yeah, I don't know. You were just, I saw you in my peripheral just doing something.
I was doing this. I was getting ready for
you were getting hyped? Oh, well, here we go. I liked it. Okay, well, thank you. I thought you were rolling your eyes.
No, never.
Well, I don't know why you would roll your eyes. You're so supportive. See, Scott is the biggest supporter of Inside the Newsroom. That's why he's on almost every day now.
Let's do it.
Well, we always
trying to get our own show.
I know, exactly. And we always have something to talk about when it's weather related. I went out. Okay, let's talk about weekends and let's make this about me. So I went out this weekend to the Minnesota State Fair. Had a great time. Yes, it was amazing. And got lots of fun fair food. The pickle pizza was my favorite.
Pickled pizza. What all is on it?
Yeah, so it's like there's no tomato sauce on it. It's almost like a white sauce. And then it's just a bunch of cheese.
You lost me there.
No. Hear me out. And then it's a bunch of cheese and then the bread. And then they put pickle slices on it. It tastes so good. It's like if you put cheese bread and fried pickles into one.
Okay.
See, okay, I got you back there.
Yeah, got me back on that.
Because you don't really taste the white sauce if you don't like white sauce. You don't really taste that much.
I just don't like the way it looks either.
You're discriminatory against pizza?
What?
This is the clip of the day. No, well, I'm just inferring. I'm just a journalist asking questions. Well, it was really fun. We tried that, and then I also tried a popular food called the Pronto Pup. It's a corn dog, but to my understanding, instead of like corn that they would use to fry with the batter, it's pancake mix. So it's almost like a breakfast. So I could be totally
like a breakfast sausage, pig in a blanket.
Well, it's not a breakfast sausage. It's just a regular hot dog.
Yeah. What did you have on it? Anything?
You can get mustard or ketchup on it or both, and I got both.
Okay. No hot sauce?
I wish. They didn't offer hot sauce because it's Minnesota. Nobody eats spicy food in Minnesota.
What?
Nobody does. Name one person in Minnesota who eats spicy food.
So they don't sell jalapenos in Minnesota then?
Not fried ones. At least not at the Minnesota State Fair.
You got me on that one.
We tried a chocolate chip cookie dough beer too. It was not that good. I don't like beer. Like, that's not my favorite.
But you like cookie dough.
I love cookie dough.
So you gave it a chance.
I did. And it wasn't for me.
Oh, good.
No. They have like a seltzer that was really popular that we saw. It was caramel apple.
Ooh.
And it was like pure green. This is the brightest green you've ever seen in your life.
St. Patrick's Day.
True. And then it had like a caramel rim on it. So as you're drinking it, you get like a little bit more sweet.
A little bit of the caramel. Okay.
I didn't try it, but I just kept seeing people buy it. So I think that might be the hot commodity. Now I'm excited for the South Dakota State Fair, though, because I wonder what like the big food items will be. And I've also never been to the South Dakota State Fair.
Okay.
So when it opens, I'll be very excited to go and give a full review.
Full report.
Here on Inside the Newsroom. Anyway, the reason I brought up the fair is because it was like 60 degrees the entire time out there.
Oh, very comfortable.
To some. To some. Not to all.
So what were you wearing then?
I only had sweatpants with me and then a skirt. And I had to be cute for the fair. So I wore the skirt, not the sweatpants. So I was cold.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't have a jacket because I was like, it's the fair. It's always warm at the fair, me not looking at the weather before we go. And so I was chilly. But then someone mentioned to me that, well, at least it's not like 90 and humid at the fair when we go. And I was like, okay, you know what? That is true.
It's a lot of give and take, isn't it?
It really is, Scott. But you were saying that this week was going to start being very cold. So I was kind of expecting it.
Yeah, we cooled, didn't we?
No, we chilled. We chilled. We're shaking in our boots. I did bring the blanket with me, too.
Your winter boots? Did you bring your winter boots?
I need to get new winter boots.
Boy, you got a lot in your...
I have a lot. I got a checklist. There's a lot going on in the brain, and it starts with the cold.
Let's talk more about that cold. Here's a look at cities that reached their top 5 for coldest temperatures on this date, August 25th. And
first tie.
Yeah, it's tied for first in Sisseton.
Okay.
At 42. Notice Mobridge, Spencer, Iowa. They fell to 41 this morning. Sioux Falls down to 45. That's the 4th coldest on this date. And you see Pierre at 46. That's the 2nd coldest on this date. Chamberlain fell to the upper 40s at 48. We'll have another morning with temperatures in the 40s for tomorrow across eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. And today, the high temperatures will probably hit 60s and 70s. Today will be much like what we had yesterday. If you liked yesterday, I think you'll like today. But you were probably busy traveling back.
Yeah, I was in the car with the heat on.
No.
AC off.
Really?
I had to. It was too cold. It was too cold.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I thought about that this morning as I put the windows down in the car coming into work going, oh, it's nice and cool outside. But I'm sure Maddie has the heat on.
It's nice and...
Did you have the heat on this morning too?
No, I walk to work usually. So I was walking in this chilly weather, going like, Scott, making it cold.
Oh, so the usual. The usual sayings you have on the way to work.
A classic morning.
Yeah, I understand.
Is this all the top cold that we have that you had to share, Scott?
Well, let's see. I was going to go through a couple of these.
You don't have the S word for me, do you?
No, but that is on Whether or Not.
That is, yep.
Okay, and that will air at 1:30 right after this show. Right, and it's always available on demand, as is this show too. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get into that, but I did make the mistake this morning and put a graphic in there that said something like that on the graphic that I quickly went by.
Really?
Yeah, and we talk more about that. Brian and I talk more about that.
Yeah.
On Whether or Not.
Okay. By the way, for viewers who are like, what are they talking about? It's snow. The S word is snow.
Well, don't give it away.
Well, they won't know what the B word is. How about that?
That's you. That's saying that. That's you saying that.
When it's wintertime, you'll hear more of the B word.
Yeah, I didn't say any of that. I think I talked about this last week. Maybe not on this show, but on Whether or Not.
Okay.
Sometimes we look at different cycles when we're looking at forecasting maybe longer out, longer range forecasts. And just looking back in summer, we had these cold outbreaks. And I'm using Aberdeen as an example. June 4th, they fell to 39. And the 17th, they fell to 45. And this morning, they fell to the middle 40s today. So you look at when those occur, the time frame between those dates, 43 days for the first one, 39 days for the one we just entered today. So I'm just averaging that out to maybe a 40, 45-day cycle, roughly, excuse me.
Okay.
So we can get our next hit of much colder air, we'll say, maybe that first week and a half of October.
Okay.
But there will also be more frequent cold fronts that are moving through as we continue into, September, even before we get into that October 5th, October 10th date.
Okay.
We'll continue to watch more hits of colder air coming in. So, that's something to keep in mind too. But I'm interested to see how cold we actually get when we hit maybe that first week and a half of October.
You seem too excited about this.
If that pattern holds true.
You see, you're excited for scientific reasons, and I am just overall not excited.
Sorry to hear that.
I know. Maybe my attitude will change. I did after the fair ended and I was driving home. I was like, you know what? I'm ready for fall. I might as well just accept what is happening.
You pulled over and you got your pumpkin spice latte, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Got a new blanket. Yep. Thinking about my Halloween costumes now.
Yep, Tom Hansen just walked by sipping his pumpkin spice latte.
Delicious.
Yeah, he likes that stuff. Well, today's forecast, 60s and 70s. And like I said, much like what we had yesterday, 67 Brookings and Watertown and Marshall. We'll try to hit 70 today in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Mostly sunny, partly cloudy.
I'll take it.
Another cool night tonight as temperatures will eventually fall to the middle 40s in eastern South Dakota, much like what we had this morning.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll slowly warm, probably back to the 50s for overnight lows. Afternoon highs will try to hit maybe the lower 80s.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, more comfortable for you.
This is much better for me. I have something to look forward to.
Maybe a little bit of humidity in the air.
Okay.
That we can see in a couple of scattered showers on Wednesday.
Okay.
And then, of course, we're going into Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
Temperatures, I think, will start seasonal. Numbers upper 70s, lower 80s. And then we may see a colder push of air come in again. That will bring in some rain chances, too.
You lost me.
It's a holiday weekend.
I know. You got to put the boats away, though.
Hopefully you get one more day out of those, or a couple more days out of those.
I want another lake day, at least one more lake day before it's really the end.
You might have to take a day off during the week.
Okay, well, I'm done. You could host for me right here.
It's possible.
You want to do it? All right, Scott's taking over the show.
Maybe.
Scott, thank you so much for joining me and listening to me complain. All right, still to come on Inside the Newsroom, everyone. We have a weekend of giving at 605 Running Company. One reporter will join us to tell us more details after the break. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. If you bought something from one of 605 Running Company stores this weekend, some of that money will go towards a good cause. In fact, Jordan DeSmit explains.
It was a day of giving at 605 Running Company.
Give Back Days are where we're able to partner up with area nonprofits, organizations, fundraising teams, those types of deals where all of the sales today, 10% of what we make, we're going to give back to that partnering organization.
For this Give Back Day, owner Greg Koch partnered with the Alzheimer's Association.
It's an incredible deal because pretty much everyone has been impacted in some capacity from Alzheimer's. I think it's over like 16,000 South Dakotans are living with it. So the need is there, the impact is there.
Koch says the Give Back Days are a win-win for both 605 Running Company and the nonprofits it's supporting.
Saturday, both of its stores also raised money for ALS.
It was great. So overall, our sales are up 14%, year to date from last year for Saturday. So that means that they were able to get some new faces in, and we were able to see growth in sales, which means they were able to get more dollars back.
Jessica Knobloch stopped in the store and says 605 is her go-to for running gear.
I think a big reason why I do like to shop here is I follow them on Facebook and I see they do a lot of community events and the giving back, and I just think that's really cool for a business to do. I'm a business owner, and so just finding ways to give back to your community and things bigger than you are awesome.
Being able to uplift our community and support causes that we're passionate about is really important to us.
Because every dollar counts.
Jordan DeSmit joins us now at the digital desk to talk more about this story. Jordan, it's really cool to see so many businesses and organizations come together for a good cause like this story highlights. But did the owner have any special connections to any of the organizations that he chose for the money to go to?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you mentioned him to talk about just the impact of Alzheimer's and how it impacts South Dakota. And I think that's maybe one of the main reasons why I think, and he also told me too, that he gets people that reach out to him actually quite consistently, trying to partner with him and trying to, raise money and things like that. So he said, yeah, it was good to say yes to a company and to a nonprofit, to a couple nonprofits over the weekend and help them out.
Thinking like your timeline as a reporter here, how many stories do you think you've done on a weekend where it's been about a business that gives back to a good cause and it all stays local?
I would say a good amount, yeah. I mean, typically on the weekends, it's going to be like an event that's happening that day or like a giveaway or a give back day like you saw here. So that's kind of what I like about weekends too, is I think you can find people who are doing some good and able to highlight that and the funds they're raising.
Agreed. And, I always see these types of events happen on the weekend, and I see more of them coming and just really showing that impact for the area. And, it was fun that you found Jessica, one of the customers in the store, who just happened to be a business owner herself, talking about the same type of cause that she tries to implement herself. Was it kind of easy to find someone like Jessica to talk to? Did you try to look for more customers?
She was the first customer I came across, and she said, yes, I will interview with you. So it was good. I mean, I love it when I find MOS man on the street interviews like that, where it just kind of works out, right? Where they give me a really good soundbite where they're like, yeah, one of the reasons why I shop here is because of the philanthropy they do. And I respect that as a business owner. And as soon as she said that, I was kind of like, yep, cha-ching.
Yeah, there it is. There's the bite.
That's the soundbite I need right there. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. But yeah, it worked out, and it ended up adding, I think, a lot to the story.
Right. And you talking to the owner, he seems like such a personable guy. So when you conduct your interviews, how do you like to establish an atmosphere that feels comfortable for your interviewee?
I mean, I just do my best to just be as nice as I possibly can and be as comforting as I can. Right? I mean, the first thing I did was introduce myself and shake my hand and say, hi, I'm Jordan. We had emailed back and forth before that, but it's good to establish that. And I think Greg, the owner, has done his fair share of interviews. I think you can kind of see that through the interview. So I think that helps. And also just reminding them, like, look, this is a conversation, and I always have them look at me. They're never looking at the camera. They're looking at me, so I can have a conversation with them, essentially. And yeah, just doing our best to make sure to help them act like the camera's not there, even though it isn't, and just having a conversation, having a good time.
And is there anything else that you'd like viewers to really take away from the story that you made over the weekend?
I think it's cool that it's a very simple concept, right? 10% of sales are going to go to a couple nonprofits, and it's simple. It's easy on the surface, but it's something that makes a big difference, I think. And every dollar counts. Like I said at the end of the story, whether there were $10 raised or $10,000 raised, it's going to help toward Alzheimer's and ALS, I think.
Jordan, thank you so much for joining me here at the Digital Desk to talk more about this story. And everyone stick around, because coming up next, we're talking about football, because that started on Friday, and a point of emphasis that you need to know about for this year. Stay with us. We'll have more on Inside the Newsroom after the break. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Local football is alive and well in the KELOLAND area, but for some players, there are some new points of emphasis this year. Our digital reporter Ray Yost joins us now at the Digital Desk to talk more about this, because Ray had an article about keeping the knees covered in our high school football. Ray, that's such a fun title that I think caught the attention of many people who were watching. What led to the decision of this title?
Well, you're always looking for something that's going to attract interest, and basically it's accurate. You need to keep your knees covered when you're playing high school football in South Dakota. So it works because it's accurate, which is first and foremost, and it's also catchy that it's going to hopefully catch your attention.
Right, because football season is here and everybody's been watching since Friday, especially when our coverage started at 10 o'clock on Friday. And, these points of emphasis, the one that you really narrowed in on for your article was about the gear. Can you explain why we kept the focus right there for this specific article?
Well, I think when you look at the other points of emphasis, which include sportsmanship and, the others, the gear is, when they say improperly or properly worn gear, it's like, okay, what does that mean? And then when he talked about it, being long pants or covering your knees, it's something that's maybe a little bit newer in the world of sports, particularly maybe high school, because colleges, you see sometimes the above the knee pants, and you see it in the pros, the above the knee pants. And while it may not be prevalent or trendy in high school, it's still something that's maybe relatively new the last couple of years. So it's a more recent point of emphasis. Sportsmanship and the defenseless player, those kinds of emphasis have been around a little bit longer. Sportsmanship certainly, and then the targeting or spearing, however you want to mention, have been around perhaps a little bit longer.
And when you were speaking to people that you interviewed for this article, what was something that kind of stood out in those interviews for you?
Well, I think that's what I said earlier. I think high school players are seeing this, the shorter pants being worn by some college players and also pro players. And while it's not perhaps a pervasive problem or a real common thing, they still see kids maybe who want to pull the pants up a little higher over the knee, or maybe try to drop that knee pad out. So, and they, they're saying, it's not a super problem, but it is enough of a concern that, we want players to be aware, this is a rule, and you got to keep the pants down over your knees, keep those knee pads in.
Right. And another point that you point out in your article is you talk about the mouthpieces too.
Yeah.
So what goes into adding that information for this article?
Well, again, it's a point of emphasis. It's part of the proper equipment.
Okay.
And, if you follow football, you may see sometimes these, I'm going to call them maybe little spinners on the mouthpiece, or they're little, just maybe they're stickers or decals, and they're found at big box retailers. They're found at sporting goods places, online, in the store. They're just this extra kind of feature that coaches and even the medical profession worry that it could, cause some injuries, or it could be something that, you wish you hadn't had on.
Yeah.
You get hit hard, or if you're just, playing running down the field. So that was something maybe, again, newer, maybe more of the last trend of the last 5 years or so. And you're starting to see maybe kids get interested in wearing that perhaps at middle school or high school.
Ray, thank you so much for joining me here at the Digital Desk to talk about these details. And still to come on Inside the Newsroom, we are looking at one Sioux Falls business that is rebranding and reopening after making a big sensation on TikTok. Stay with us for Inside the Newsroom. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, some businesses really suffered. However, one Sioux Falls shop born during the pandemic thrived, and they continue to expand. In fact, Summer Roddershot gives us a look.
Victor Hernandez-Diaz has had a passion for shoes since high school.
I started noticing classmates with the newest pair of Jordans or Air Force Ones, and then I got super into it, did my research, fell in love with it, and then through that the passion turned into a business.
PB and Thrift opened during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So I actually grew a decent little following on TikTok, just making a ton of sneaker-related content, clothing-related content, grew a following on there, and then through that I was able to start an online store. The online store did pretty well, and was able to raise enough capital and inventory that once COVID ended, I was able to open up my first shop.
But now, a few years after he started the store, Hernandez-Diaz is rebranding. He now calls the store PBT.
The word thrift kind of put us in a little box of, oh, they're a thrift store, they're a secondhand spot and whatnot. And that wasn't really what we were trying to go with.
With the rebrand, the shop's also relocated to the Bridges at 57th.
As, the city evolves and gets bigger, we also want to evolve and get bigger with the city.
Showing that a high schooler with a vision and passion can do amazing things.
Life is so short. You have to take risks. You have to take chances on yourself.
And Summer Roddershot joins us now at the Digital Desk to talk more about this story. Summer, I think it's so cool that Victor's story started on TikTok and it was able to expand during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. That's something that I feel like we don't see often in our area, right?
I feel like we don't see it often in our area, but I mean, we all remember COVID. Everybody, they were just home. And that's sort of, in my opinion, how TikTok really got that boost, is because everybody was home and they were trying to turn to a social media. And so a lot of us turned to TikTok. Now, some people were doing the dance crazes and that type of stuff. But, Victor, he turned it, he's like, hold up, business opportunity. And so he started posting the sneaker related stuff and people just caught on. And so he built that following, and then he's like, I think I could make this an actual store, and he did.
It's just so crazy to me because thinking about what I see on TikTok, I don't usually get a lot of Sioux Falls related content that shows up, at least on my FYP. Maybe I need to do a better job about changing that algorithm, but it's really impressive how he was able to really grow from something like this. When you do stories that are about businesses in the area, you have this privilege with this story to highlight that TikTok aspect, but what other themes or elements do you try to include when it's about how Sioux Falls businesses or any KELOLAND area business is growing?
Yeah, I love seeing small businesses turn and do great things because, sometimes it can be extremely hard for small businesses because we hear that a lot. So I really like seeing that small business aspect turn, okay, we're growing, we're expanding. Obviously it's really sad to see it the other way around. And it was just the TikTok aspect that really caught my attention with this. And then also the COVID aspect, because, a lot of things ended up closing during COVID or things aren't doing as well since then. But unlike other businesses that aren't doing as well, his is growing since COVID, which I think is encouraging to see.
I think it's just so so fascinating. And, as you were putting this story together and talking to Victor, what else stood out to you?
So the name change. So it used to be PB and Thrift, like peanut butter and jelly, PB and Thrift.
Right.
But now it's PBT. So they still have, he would do this thing where he would go and he would buy secondhand items, and then, like refresh them and have them like, a bunch of like upscale, like secondhand items. And so that technically is still a part of his store. But when he was telling me, back at his old location, it used to be the majority of the sales were that. And now it's down to like, maybe 20%-ish. Don't quote me on those numbers, but like significantly less is that thrift aspect now, So there's so many things, like he had all this new stuff in there, a bunch of like lines and stuff in there. So yeah, that's sort of just one of the ways that he was able to change it. And so, it's like, okay, when you do PB and Thrift, you think of like, oh, it's all the thrift store. And it's not really that anymore. So that's one thing that people want to be clear on. It's still PB and Thrift, but it's not PB and Thrift.
Right.
So
I think that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And, this story came out on Saturday and it's been like really trending pretty well on KELOLAND.com since. So why do you think people are interested in stories that show businesses growing in our area?
I think everybody loves a success story. I feel like in news, there's a lot of, we have to report on some of the bad things that happen because we need to keep people informed. But this was one of the successful stories. And I think people always like, oh, I want to hear the good news. Well, this is the good news right here. And also I think people were watching him, they saw him on other social media platforms and they're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, here he is now.
I love it. Summer, great story. And thank you so much for giving these details right here. And everyone, that's all the time that we have for Inside the Newsroom. I know we're all shedding a tear a little bit that it has to be over, but it's okay because we'll come back tomorrow at 1:00 for more of your trending stories from the area and more Newsroom staff members to talk about those stories. So until then, have a great day, everyone.